The elusive, long-lasting summer freshie. This fragrance is probably my top 5 ever. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances and this is a practical review for Amouage Beach Hut Man. These videos are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels like to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances these days, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Finally, we're here, Amouage Beach Hut Man, long awaited. I promise I wasn't gatekeeping this fragrance. I just was postponing the fragrance review because, like for many other fragrances I really care about, I really want to give this the justice it deserves. As some of you may know, I started my Amouage obsession early in my fragrance journey. It all started out with Interlude Woman, which then transitioned to Interlude Man, then turned into Purpose, and many more. I never associated Amouage to a fresh summer fragrance. And this one here, when I first sampled it, completely blew my mind. This is an incredibly uplifting, fresh, potent, long-lasting summer fragrance. Spoiler here, I would actually say that this one here is a perfect fragrance if you like green aromatic fragrances. But let's back up a little. Beach Hut Man is actually quite a deceiving fragrance based on the name. When you think beach hut, I think about sand, I think about coconuts, I think about tropicalness, and not really what this fragrance brings to the table. As I mentioned, this is a green aromatic fragrance and a very potent one at that. Your typical sun lotion notes and vibes are really not present here. What you get from this is far from the traditional idea of a beach hut and more of a hut in the jungle kind of idea. This is very green, there is no sea, there are no marine notes. This is just straight up green jungle vibes. In my intro, I said that this is one of my top fragrances ever, and it's so good that I'm almost scared to wear it. I'm scared by wearing it too much, I ruin the experience and I'll get bored of it. That's how good this is. But before talking about the scent profile, let's just dive into the presentation as per usual. Starting from the box, Amouage is always top tier. I have to note that this bottle is the one with the latest font, so it comes in the latest box style, the flat box style. Although I prefer the old-fashioned boxes that lift from the top, or the booklet ones, those were actually, I think, the best. The new flat box works well, it protects the fragrance, and they're all kind of unique, featuring just different art styles that are themed around the fragrance. I think that the unboxing experience as a whole is great. It feels modern and up to date while still conveying a sense of luxury, although not completely over the top like something like Zerjof. The bottle designs for Amouage are always really great. The cap is your usual magnetic cap with a strong magnet. The shape is in the handle of the dagger from Oman. The bottle itself for Beach Hut is unusually transparent. It features, even more unusually, this sort of a design up front, which is found in almost none of other Amouage bottles. I think that the only other Amouage that featured a design like this is like Sunshine and Bracken Man, and those are both discontinued. I'm not really sure what the idea with the design was and why they only adopted it for very few Amouages. I think that I'd rather have a completely transparent bottle. One thing I really like though is the color combination. We have the little gem that matches the color of the liquid, and the white of the cap, of the emblem, and of the writing is an incredibly beautiful contrast with the bottle design itself. I really like this bottle. Again, I might be biased by Amouage in general, I might be biased by how much I like the scent, but for me it's a 10 out of 10. The atomizers for these are always really good, your typical Amouage, especially considering that these fragrances have pretty high oil concentration. Let's give it a couple sprays. Yeah, easy to direct, powerful, it's really great. Overall presentation, really can't complain. Again, if you're into Amouage, if you're into this price range, it's the least you can expect in my opinion. Okay, so every time I smell this, my pupils dilate. This is one of the most wow-inducing fragrances I've ever smelled in my life. This is so good that I keep saying to myself that someday I'll probably find this boring in a way to sort of protect myself. But you know what? Every time I spray this, I get this rush of adrenaline. I almost feel like screaming exuberantly. And it's just that good and just that refreshing and incredible. Let's talk about that scent profile and what you can expect from this. So I mentioned that Beach Hut is pretty far from your typical idea of tropical and marine. There are no marine notes in here, there's no fruity tropical notes, there's no coconut, there's no sunscreen, there's nothing. So what is this? This, as mentioned multiple times, is a green aromatic. It all starts off with an incredibly bright and uplifting opening of mint. And the mint in here is this green, very natural smelling mint. It's probably one of the most natural smelling mints I've ever smelled. And very different from something like Amouage Enclave. In Enclave, you get this spearmint, kind of chewing gum mint, which is good and I really like it, but it's way more toothpaste rather than natural mint leaf. This is truly mint leaf. Smelling this, I immediately get the idea of when you use mint and something like a lime and you beat it with a mortar to make it like a drink, like a caipirinha. My parents used to have caipirinhas all the time in summer, and this smells exactly like the preparation of the caipirinha. Coupled with that natural mint opening there, you get also some citruses, and this is not a citrus forward fragrance whatsoever. The citruses in here are very much still green. I get some lime, some bergamot, but the lime, that zestiness, that zinginess of the lime is really present. There might be some ginger in here, I'm not really sure. In the mid, you get a lot more herbs, still very green, very lush, but a little bit more on the culinary side, but still in a very fresh Mediterranean way. So I get basil for sure. I get some oiliness from something like a rosemary, maybe some saltiness from something like a sage. And this deeper mid paired with the zesty, zingy opening just gives you this idea of this huge basket of herbs blasting aromatics at you. It almost might be a little bit too much for some people. I have this memory as a child of roaming the fields in the summer and just playing around and picking herbs. And the feeling of like picking something by the roots or by the stem and just dragging it out, the herb leaves something on your hand. It's this like really green herbaceous tone. It's almost similar to the odor that the stem of the tomatoes leave on your skin. For example, if you go to a supermarket and you pick the tomatoes, the green stem has this incredibly potent odor that it leaves. This is a very similar type of greenery. It's very strong and it's very potent. If you compare this to something like Hermès Un Jardin Solennel, they both sort of ring the same tone, but this one here is so much more dense and so much more potent. And this is the reason why I say that this might not be for everyone. This can be a very overwhelming scent if you're not prepared for the blast of green and herbaceousness. The potency of this scent really translates into longevity and projection, thankfully. The projection of this is really loud throughout the wear. It starts out very loud, and with a longevity of 8 to 10 hours, so a full work day at the very least, you'll be smelling this thing around you for a long time. Thankfully, the scent is really interesting and it transitions really well from top to bottom. Somehow the mintiness just stays around for the whole duration, and you smell it really bright at the top, a little bit less in the dry down, but it's still there. And you go from a very bright, zingy opening to more of a woody, ambery base. Those citrus, minty notes that are very uplifting and bright up top slowly fade. They transition through that mid there with that density and that greenness. But ultimately what you get is this very woody, still very green, type of base with this sort of a sweet undertone of some sort of an amber. And although this is not sweet by any means, it's not bitter or pungent either. This is a very lush, wet feeling fragrance. And there's something about it in that wetness that gives you natural flavor of the herbs. And the flavor, again, is not sweet, but there's something about it that almost resembles like licorice in a way. You have that sort of a herbaceous sweetness in there, but it's very natural. There's nothing added to this that artificially enhances the sweetness like a vanilla. And even that amber note that you get in the dry down, it's very natural and very sandy-like. And although the image of a beach hut might not be your traditional tropical beach hut paradise type of thing, I get more of a survivalist castaway type of vibe. And I just imagine this sort of a beach hut, which is like a couple wooden poles with a ton of like greenery just thrown on as a roof. And while you're sitting under this green canopy that's baking under a sun effectively, this vegetation is slowly evaporating and just engulfing you in this green cloud of scent. Yep, that's the kind of image I get. For some reason, I think about Tom Hanks and Castaway. Versatility and wearability of this are pretty high in my opinion. If you like this type of scent profile and you can own it, meaning that you don't let the fragrance wear you, I think that you can wear this pretty much year round. Obviously in the summer, it's nice and refreshing, although a little bit dense and potent. In the winter, I think that the mintiness would pair really well with low temperatures, almost giving you like a balsamic, almost like a cough candy kind of vibe. I think it would really work well. The mintiness in here is really realistic. I think that this is a non-offensive scent profile whatsoever. There's nothing in here that could trigger some sort of a bad reaction. It's very strong, yes, but it's a very pleasant type of scent. You can definitely wear this to the office, you can definitely wear this out in casual, whatever you want. I do think that this is a little bit more of a day type scent, just because it's so bright and uplifting. I would probably wear this, and I do actually, I would probably wear this in the day and then transition to something a little bit heavier and more cuddly in the night. I keep mentioning that this is very strong, and believe me, it is. So you need to really go easy on the sprays. I usually wear 2 sprays, like behind my neck at the back here, and 1 spray on my arm as usual. The spray on my arm is always there for me to just take a quick sniff at the fragrance I'm wearing that day. So 3 sprays, it's very strong, and I still smell it a lot. I'm very used to the scent and I like it, so I can take it. But for many people, I think this could be a little bit too much. And there are reports online in the reviews that say that this is almost too strong. I would say that this is pretty unisex actually, despite it being called Beach Hut Man. It doesn't really lean feminine or masculine in any way. And honestly, how could you even associate a gender to just such vivid and realistic greenery? This is a very natural smell, and I think that really anyone could wear it. Maybe age-wise, I would go like 30 and up, just because it's a little bit more mature, a little bit more strong, and you really need to own this type of thing. And it's not sweet, so it might not appeal to young adults. Overall, I'm really happy I own this. I wear this a lot, and I will keep wearing this a lot for the foreseeable future. This is one of the bottles that is the most stable in my collection. I'll probably never get rid of it, just because it's one of those top 5 fragrances for life kind of thing. For now, at least. But again, I don't see this changing anytime soon, unless I get something that replaces this functionality in such a bold way. I would say that if you like this concept, if you like this idea, I would highly advise you to sample first, because again, I think it's very good, but it's very potent and very, very green. It might not be exactly what you're looking for. I'm actually really curious to smell Beach Hut Woman at this point. I wonder if it rides the same kind of herbaceousness, or if it goes into a more of a tropical beach type of vibe. They might be a really good pair in that case. So yeah, this is one of those 10 out of 10 fragrances for me. Amouage rarely disappoints me, and when they do, it's usually because I'm not really in tune with that scent profile at that time. This is great. I highly recommend it. If you're into the idea of something like this, if the scent profile intrigues you, take a look. It might be your next favorite thing. At this point, I covered a lot of Amouage. I still have a few bottles left to show you guys, but I'm inching towards that finish line. I don't really know how to behave now. I really like covering Amouage. I'm really ecstatic when covering Amouage. Maybe I have to think about some other way to present these fragrances to you. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to videos, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave any kind of comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and always keep the conversation open. Until next time, another Amouage down, a couple more to go, but many other fragrances to come. See you next time. Cheers.